In his role as teacher, my mentor would continually challenge me. As soon as I'd apply his principles in one area, he would immediately bring up another principle of fundamental importance. Once I began to make my way in the marketplace and make more money, he said, "Don't just learn how to earn, learn how to live." I didn't understand. In fact, I wasn't even paying that much attention. Here I am, I thought, working hard, striving to reach goals, seeing success. What is he talking about? What does he think I'm missing? What is it there? Reading my thoughts, my mentor smiled and said, "There are some people who have beautiful things surrounding them, and yet they feel little happiness. Others have hoarded large amounts of money, and yet they feel poor. You get an eye for a rich spirit and full life by learning the art of designing a lifestyle, the art of learning how to live." Well, I replied, I can talk about this when I actually have lots of money. Right now I should just learn to make it. Don't you think? The time to learn is now. He answered, you must learn the art of designing a lifestyle with small amounts. In fact, it starts with 2 quarters. 2 quarters, I exclaimed. How can anyone possibly develop a lifestyle with 2 quarters? My mentor chuckled, the consummate salesman. He knew he finally had my full attention. Imagine that you are getting your shoes shined. The person shining your shoes is doing an incredible job for you. In fact, you're getting one of the world's all-time great shines. As you pay for the shine, you consider what kind of tip to give. You think, shall I give a quarter or 2 quarters? If 2 different amounts come to mind, always go for the higher amount. Become a 2-quarter person. I must be missing something, I thought. Perplexed, I asked, what difference does it make 1 quarter or 2 quarters? It makes all the difference in the world. If you said, well, I'll just give 1 quarter, that would affect you for the rest of the day. You'll start feeling a little guilty, just a bit insecure. And sometime during your day, you'd look at the sheen on your shoes and think that was certainly not cheap. 1 measly quarter tip for a shine like this. On the other hand, he added, if you go for the 2 quarters, you'll feel prosperous and confident all day long. You can't believe the difference that a 2-quarter mentality can make. Years later, a man came up after one of my seminars and said, you inspired me tonight with your description of the 2 quarters attitude. I've decided to change my whole life. You'll hear from me someday? And he left. Sure enough, he was as good as his word. When I was again lecturing in the same city, the same man walked up to the podium with a big grin on his face and said, do you remember me? Of course I do, I answered. You're the man who said he was going to change his life. He nodded his head and said, I've got to tell you a story. After your last seminar, I started to think about ways to transform one's lifestyle. It's just a matter of learning to be generous of spirit and learning to develop a 2-quarter mentality in a 1-quarter thinking world. Asayam moni why. Diaferantiastiwil, here's an important hapati hatmo wabatui alholomai ml prsuwan hatuayuanti. I try to live this one every day of my life. It's really not so hard to learn the art of living. Even people with modest means can experience a sophisticated lifestyle. They simply save up some of their money to buy a bottle of fine wine, or they skip going to the movies and attend the theater, or by saving up their money all year, they have enough for a special trip or a fine work of art. Don't spend all your money a quarter at a time. Save up and buy something special, something fine, of lasting value, or something which will give you rich memories for a lifetime. Remember, all those little amounts of money can add up to a small fortune. And for a sophisticated person, quality is far more important than quantity. Better a few treasures than a house full of junk. Lifestyle, as I define it here, is a matter of awareness, values, education, and disciplined taste. It is an art that brings joy as it's practiced. It's the deliberate decision to savor and appreciate. So take care to look and listen, to learn from everything and everyone with whom you come in contact. Think of something you can do today to make you feel richer and better about yourself and your life. Make a phone call to reserve tickets for a concert. Buy some recordings of fine music. Send flowers, send a thank you note, plan a trip, begin to read classics. Still can't think of anything to do? I'll bet within 50 miles of where you are right now, there are some places you have never seen, some foods you've never tasted, some experiences you've never had. It's true for me. I grew up near a famous national park, and yet I've never been there. Imagine that. Millions have traveled from around the world to see the great natural wonders, and I, who live nearby, have never been there. I've been to other continents, but not to this nearby wonder. Do you know someone who's never been to their own country's famous landmarks? Or a person who's never been to nearby attractions? Then, like me, you are missing some wonderful opportunities to experience an expanded lifestyle. Let's not leave anything unfinished, especially those things that are within our reach. It might take a little initiative on our parts, but think what rewards await us. All we need to do is take a conscious act to follow up a unique thought, and this act will bridge our dreams with the reality of new experience. By now, you know I have a healthy respect for the value of making wealth in life. But money can also be overrated, even worshipped, as it is often given power that it simply does not possess. I remember saying to my mentor, if I had more money, I'd be happy. But he replied, the key to happiness is not more. Happiness is an art to be studied and practiced. More money will only make you more of what you already are. Money will only send you more quickly to your destination. So if you're inclined to be unhappy, you'll be luxuriously miserable with more money. If you're inclined to be nasty, wealth will make you a terror. And if you're inclined to drink a little too much, more money will only enable you to waste yourself in booze. On the other hand, if you master the art of lifestyle and happiness, more money will help you to amplify your happiness and inner wealth. Lifestyle is style over amount, and style is an art, the art of living. You can't buy style with money. You can't buy good taste with money. You can only buy more with money. Lifestyle is culture, the appreciation of good music, dance, art, sculpture, literature, and plays. It's a taste for the fine, the unique, the beautiful. A philosopher once said, if we don't go for the higher tastes, we will settle for the lower ones. So remember the quest. It's to have the best in the time available to us. It's not the amount, it's the value. Lifestyle also means rewarding excellence wherever you find it by not taking the small things of life for granted. Let me illustrate this with a personal anecdote. My friend and I were on a trip for some shopping and exploring. On the way, we stopped at a service station. As soon as we parked our car in front of the pumps, a young man, about 18 or 19, came bouncing out to the car and with a big smile said, "Can I help you?" "Yes," I answered. "A full tank of gas, please." I wasn't prepared for what followed. In this day and age of self-service and deteriorating customer treatment, this young man checked every tire, washed every window, even the sunroof, singing and whistling the whole time. We couldn't believe both the quality of service and his upbeat attitude about his work. When he brought the bill, I said to the young man, "Hey, you really have taken good care of us. I appreciate it." He replied, "I really enjoy working. It's fun for me, and I get to meet nice people like you." This young man was really something. I said, "We're on our way to do some shopping, and we want to get some milkshakes. Can you tell us where we can find the nearest ice cream shop?" The ice cream shop is just a few blocks away, he said as he gave us exact directions. Then he added, "Don't park out front. Park around to the side so your car won't get sideswiped." What a remarkable young man. As we got to the ice cream store, we ordered milkshakes, except that instead of 2, we ordered 3. Then we drove back to the station. Our young friend dashed out to greet us. "Hey, I see you got your milkshakes." "Yes, and this one is for you." His mouth fell open. "For me? Sure. With all the fantastic service you gave us, I couldn't leave you out of the milkshake deal." "Wow," was his astonished reply. As we drove off, I could see him in my rear view mirror just standing there, grinning from ear to ear. Now, what did this little act of generosity cost me? Only about $2. This number has a way of cropping up, doesn't it? You see, it's not the money, it's the style. I must have been feeling especially creative that day. On our arrival at our shopping destination, I drove directly to a flower shop. As we walked inside, I said to the florist, "I need a long-stemmed rose for my friend to carry while we go shopping." The florist, a rather unromantic type, replied, "We sell them by the dozen." "I don't need a dozen." I said, "Just one." "Well," he replied haughtily, "it will cost you $2. Wonderful." I exclaimed, "There's nothing worse than a cheap rose." Selecting the rose with some deliberation, I handed it to my friend. She was so impressed. "And the cost?" $2, just $2. A bit later, she looked up and said, "I must be the only woman shopping today carrying a rose." Besides the 2-quarter lesson, my mentor taught me another lesson about tipping. He explained to me that the term tip comes from the words, to ensure promptness. Now, he said, if a tip is meant to ensure promptness, when should one tip? I knew what he was driving at, but I was still thinking average. When you have a meal and the service is good, you leave a tip. If you get lousy service, no tip, was my reply. No, you don't understand. Sophisticated people don't take a chance on good service. They ensure good service by giving the money up front. Try it. The next time you have a special meal at a restaurant, ask the server to come to your table and say, "Here's some extra money. Would you take good care of me and my friend?" As my mentor said, "You won't believe what will happen. They will hover over your table. You won't have to wonder where they went or wait for a second cup of coffee. Are you getting the message? Same money, different style. Lo bien for Angius, living life in style also means living a life of balance. And one of the most important ingredients of a balanced life is having someone to love and love you. If you have someone you care about, there is nothing more valuable. One person caring about another represents life at its most abundant. Protect love with a vengeance. Don't let anything stand in its way. If a chair gets in the way, I suggest you destroy the chair. Don't let anything block love. It was wisely said long ago, there are many treasures, but the greatest of these is love. In other words, it's better to live in a tent on the beach and know love than to live in a mansion all alone. Your family and your love must be cultivated like a garden. Time, effort, and imagination must be summoned constantly to keep it flourishing and growing. Next to love, friendship is most important. It's priceless. Friends are those wonderful people who know all about you and still like you. Friends are those people who come in when everyone else is leaving. And because life offers no guarantees, be sure on the way up to make the kinds of friends who will take you in on the way down. Life has both ups and downs, and friends, true friends, will make the ups more exhilarating and the downs less devastating. I do have one such friend. If I were unjustly thrown into a jail in another country, it's him I would call. Do you know why I would call him? That's right, because he'd come. Now that's a friend, someone who would get you out of trouble. And I know that if it would cost a fortune to get me out, he'd spend it. And if it took a long time, he'd take as long as it would take. That's a true friend. I hope you have a friend like this. I also have some casual friends, acquaintances who would probably say, call me when you get back home. I guess we all have friends like that. The problem comes when we confuse their function in our lives with true friendship. In conclusion, remember this: the good life is not an amount. It's an attitude, an act, an idea, discovery, a search. The good life comes from a lifestyle that is fully developed, regardless of the size of your bank account, a lifestyle that provides you with a constant sense of joy in living, a lifestyle that fuels your desire to become a person of deep value and achievement. After all, what is wealth without character, industry without art, quantity without quality, enterprise without satisfaction, and possessions without joy? You can become a person of culture who adds to the whole culture. You can be that person of unusual substance who possesses the style and individuality of which our children and their children can become the beneficiaries.